Back aboard the Handshake, Captain Rice called her senior staff to the secure briefing room. The ship hummed gently around them as they accelerated away from Ta City, the Concordat's watchful sensors still tracking their every move. "They're monitoring our communications," Lieutenant Commander Davis informed them, her tactical display showing multiple signal interceptors locked onto the Handshake. "We're maintaining the appearance of disappointment and compliance." Rice nodded, her expression carefully neutral. "Good. Let them think we're licking our wounds." She activated the room's quantum privacy field, a thin blue shimmer washing over the walls. "What they don't know is that we've been gathering intelligence since the moment we arrived." The ship's science officer, Dr. Ibarra, stepped forward. His dark fingers danced across the holographic interface, bringing up detailed scans of the Concordat vessels. Their technology is remarkably uniform across species, despite their apparent physiological differences. It suggests technology sharing, yes, but also stagnation. "Or control," suggested Commander Wei, executive officer of the Handshake. "Did you notice how the Merid representatives deferred to the Vex on all military matters? There's a hierarchy here we don't fully understand." Rice circled the central display, studying the schematics their sensors had secretly compiled. "Their particle acceleration technology is impressive in scale, but fundamentally limited. They've built bigger rather than better." She paused at an image of the Concordat's flagship, a massive structure that dwarfed the Handshake. "They rely on brute force approaches where we've developed finesse." Dr. Ibarra highlighted the energy signatures. "Their shields operate on predictable frequencies. Their weapons, while powerful, follow linear energy transfer principles. Nothing about their technology accounts for quantum field manipulation or entanglement principles. Which means they can't detect what they don't understand," Rice concluded, a slight smile forming. "Transmission ready, Dr. Ibarra." He nodded, producing a quantum-encrypted data crystal. "All our scans, compiled and analyzed. I've included my preliminary assessments as well." Rice took the crystal, weighing it thoughtfully in her palm. Earth's future might well depend on the information it contained. "The Concordat believes they've put us in our place. 7 advanced species, united in their technological superiority, confident they've nothing to fear from us primitive humans. They displayed their military capabilities quite proudly," Commander Wei noted dryly. "Almost like parents showing off toys their children couldn't possibly understand." "Pride comes before a fall," Lieutenant Commander Davis murmured. Rice pocketed the crystal. "When we reach the jump point, we'll transmit everything through the quantum entanglement array. It'll reach Earth instantaneously, undetectable by conventional monitoring." The briefing room fell silent as the implications settled over them. They'd been sent to establish peaceful contact with alien life, to extend the hand of friendship from humanity to the stars. Instead, they found themselves plotting potential resistance against an interstellar alliance that viewed them as barely evolved primates. "I don't want war," Rice said finally, her voice resolute. "None of us do. But I will not allow humanity to be subjugated because we had the audacity to reach for the stars." She looked at each of her officers in turn. "We play along. We appear compliant. And we prepare, quietly, methodically. If the Concordat forces our hand, they'll discover that humanity's greatest strength has always been thriving where others expect us to fail." As the Handshake approached the jump point that would take them home, the Concordat observers noted its conventional engine signatures, its apparently primitive hull design, its complete lack of meaningful defenses. They dismissed the vessel as unworthy of further attention. Their first mistake of many to come. The lunar facility's fabrication chamber hummed with energy as Dr. Kapoor observed the quantum phase cannon prototype through reinforced observation glass. Technicians in specialized suits moved carefully around the device, its core pulsing with a soft blue light that seemed to shift between dimensions. "Power consistency is holding at 98%, reported Engineer Santos, her eyes never leaving her monitoring station. "Quantum field stability is within acceptable parameters." Kapoor allowed himself a thin smile. Acceptable isn't good enough. We need perfection. Captain Chen joined them at the window, his uniform crisp despite having worked 18 hours straight. Doctor, the Defiance crew is completing combat simulations, but we're flying blind without knowing exactly how your cannons will perform in actual combat conditions. Patience, Captain, Kapoor replied, gesturing to the diagnostic screens. We're rewriting the laws of physics here. The Concordat has had centuries to perfect their technology. We have months. Chen's expression remained skeptical. The Vex destroyed 3 mining platforms near Europa yesterday. Their accidental weapons discharge excuse isn't fooling anyone. We're running out of time. Admiral Jackson entered the chamber, bringing conversations to a halt as personnel snapped to attention. The Admiral waved them back to work and approached Kapoor and Chen. Progress report, Jackson demanded without preamble. Kapoor brought up the schematics on a nearby display. The quantum phase technology is functioning as theorized. The cannon creates a localized tunnel where conventional physical barriers, including shields, simply don't register as matter. It doesn't so much penetrate defenses as ignore them completely. And the power requirements? Jackson asked. That's where we've made the breakthrough, Kapoor replied, unable to hide his excitement. Traditional weapons require exponentially more energy to overcome stronger shields. Our approach bypasses that equation entirely. The energy cost remains constant regardless of the target's defenses. Jackson nodded, impressed despite his military stoicism. What about detection? That's our greatest advantage, Chen interjected. The Concordat sensors are designed to detect particle acceleration and radiation signatures. Our quantum systems don't trigger those detection parameters. They're looking for heat where we're using light. Kapoor simplified. By the time they adapt their sensors, it will be too late. On the far side of the chamber, a technician called out urgently. Doctor, we're getting quantum field fluctuations in the secondary containment array. Kapoor rushed to the station, fingers flying over controls. Adjust the entanglement harmonic by 0.3 degrees. Quickly. The cannon's blue glow stabilized, returning to its gentle pulse. Kapoor exhaled slowly, then turned back to the Admiral. As I was saying, we're making excellent progress. Jackson's expression remained unconvinced. 5 ships, Doctor. That's all we have, against a Concordat fleet that could number in the hundreds. Numbers won't matter, Kapoor insisted. Not with this technology. Quality over quantity. Let's hope you're right, Jackson said grimly. Because intelligence reports the Concordat is growing increasingly aggressive. They're testing our defenses, pushing boundaries, looking for any excuse to implement harsher restrictions. Chen's communication device chimed. He checked it, his expression darkening. Speaking of which, sir, the Vex have just demanded access to our Martian research outpost. Colony Director Williams is stalling, but they're threatening orbital bombardment if we don't comply within 12 hours. Jackson and Kapoor exchanged concerned glances. The Defiant isn't ready, Kapoor warned. We need another week of calibrations. We don't have a week, Jackson replied. Captain Chen, prepare your ship and crew. The Defiant deploys in 6 hours, ready or not. As Chen hurried away, Kapoor returned to the quantum cannon, his face reflected in its pulsing blue glow. I hope this works, he whispered to himself. For all our sakes. Inside the Mars colony's emergency bunker, Colony Director Maya Williams organized the panicked civilians. Children huddled with their parents, while colony staff distributed emergency rations and oxygen supplements. Status report, Williams demanded through her comm unit, trying to keep her voice steady for the colonists' sake. Pressure in Dome 3 has stabilized, replied Chief Engineer Santos over the scratchy connection. But the Vex hit our main power relay. We're running on backups, and life support is at 68% capacity. Williams glanced at the environmental display. The numbers were dropping steadily. How long? 18 hours, maybe 20 if we further reduce temperature settings, Santos answered. Director, there's something else. The Vex aren't just targeting infrastructure. They're specifically hitting our research facilities." Williams frowned. The colony's cutting-edge agricultural research had been making breakthroughs in radiation-resistant crops. Nothing that would threaten the Concordat, but certainly technologies that would help humanity expand more rapidly. "They don't want us subjugated," she realized aloud. "They want us dependent." Ellie Santos, the chief engineer's 12-year-old daughter, approached Williams with a tablet displaying orbital scans. Despite the crisis, the girl's eyes showed remarkable calm. "Director Williams, I've been monitoring the upper atmosphere," she said. "The Vex ship is maintaining orbital position directly above Research Dome 5. It's like they're looking for something specific." Williams studied the display, impressed by the girl's initiative. Research Dome 5 housed their quantum communications array, technology similar to what powered Earth's new weapon systems. If the Vex discovered it. "Good work, Ellie," she said, squeezing the girl's shoulder. "Keep monitoring and tell me if anything changes." The colony's communication officer rushed over. "Director, we've received word from Earth Command. A vessel is en route to assist." Hope flickered across the room as colonists overheard the news. "What class of vessel?" Williams asked, keeping her voice low. The officer hesitated. "The UEA's Defiant, Mom." Williams' heart sank. An exploration vessel against a Vex war cruiser. It was suicide. She maintained her composure, aware of the watching colonists. "Understood. Keep me updated on their approach." Outside the bunker, the Martian landscape shimmered under the impact of another orbital strike. The colony's defensive shields, designed primarily to protect against radiation and micrometeorites, struggled against weapons specifically engineered for destruction. In orbit above Mars, Commander Kress of the Inevitable Dominance observed the colony through multiple compound eyes. His chitinous mandibles clicked in satisfaction as another precision strike disabled a communication relay. "Pathetic defenses," he commented to his weapons officer. "These humans build with such fragility." "Commander," reported his sensor technician, "our scans detect an approaching vessel. Human design, matching exploration parameters." Krex's inner eyelids blinked in surprise. "They send a science vessel against a war cruiser. Perhaps they come to surrender the colony." The tactical display highlighted the approaching ship, small, sleek, and seemingly unarmed. The Defiant's transponder identified it as a deep space exploration vessel with minimal defensive capabilities. "Open a channel," Krex ordered, mandibles spreading in what passed for a Vex smile. "Let us see if these humans have finally accepted their proper place." Aboard the Defiant, Captain Chen reviewed final systems checks as his ship approached Mars. The untested quantum systems hummed beneath his feet, their power barely contained. "Weapon systems?" Chen asked. Lieutenant Okafor nodded confidently. "Quantum phase cannons charged and targeting systems aligned. Dr. Kapoor's final calibrations are holding steady. Shields. Conventional shields at maximum. Adaptive hull integrity at 97%. Chen took a deep breath, straightening his uniform. On the main view screen, the massive Vex cruiser came into visual range, its angular hull bristling with conventional weapons. "Communications, prepare to receive. They'll be calling to threaten us any moment." Chen settled into the command chair. "And when they do, we'll show them exactly how much humanity has been holding back." The aftermath of the first quantum phase cannon blast left both bridges in stunned silence. On the Defiant, tactical displays showed a clean slice through the Vex cruiser's propulsion system, the massive engine housing now drifting away from the main vessel. Captain Chen recovered first, his years of explorer training kicking in despite the unfamiliar combat situation. "Status report," he ordered, voice steady despite the adrenaline coursing through him. Lieutenant Okafor examined her readings with wide eyes. "Direct hit, sir. Their main propulsion system is completely severed. Clean cut, minimal radiation leakage." She looked up, a hint of awe in her expression. The quantum tunnel effect worked exactly as Dr. Kapoor predicted. On the Vex cruiser, Commander Krex's compound eyes dilated in shock as emergency klaxons blared across his bridge. Red emergency lighting cast an ominous glow over the chittering crew. "Impossible," he hissed, mandibles clicking furiously. "How could an exploration vessel possess such weaponry? Our sensors detected no conventional weapon signatures." "Engines offline," his engineering officer reported frantically. The human weapon bypassed all shields as if they weren't there. "We've never seen this technology." Kreggs slammed a clawed appendage onto his command console. "All batteries, open fire. Destroy that human vessel." The inevitable dominance's remaining weapon systems unleashed a barrage of particle beams and plasma torpedoes. The Martian sky lit up with deadly energy as the assault converged on the much smaller human ship. Aboard the Defiant, the bridge rocked violently. Crew members clung to their stations as the inertial dampeners struggled to compensate. Direct hits across forward sections, the damage control officer reported. Hull integrity holding at 87%. Adaptive materials are absorbing and redistributing the energy just as designed. Where the Vex weapons struck, the Defiant's hull glowed blue, the specialized quantum-infused materials channeling the enemy fire's energy throughout the ship's systems rather than allowing it to cause catastrophic damage. Chen steadied himself against his command chair. "Ms. Okafor, target their primary weapons array. Let's not give them a chance for a second volley." Okafor's fingers danced across her console. Targeting solution acquired. Quantum phase cannon charging. Firing. Again, the impossible weapon fired, not a beam of light or energy in the conventional sense, but a localized rupture in space-time that connected 2 points with absolute disregard for what lay between them. On the Vex cruiser, the primary weapons cluster simply separated from the hull, critical power connections severed at the quantum level. Again. "Target communications," Chen ordered. A third precision strike disabled the Vex vessel's ability to call for reinforcements. The crippled alien ship now drifted in Martian orbit, its once threatening silhouette transformed into a powerless hulk. "Sir," Communications Officer Park reported, "we're receiving transmissions from the Mars colony. They're reporting multiple breaches but no casualties. Director Williams is requesting immediate assistance with repairs." Chen nodded. "Tell them help is on the way." "And open a channel to the Vex vessel." The main view screen flickered to life, showing Commander Kress's bridge in disarray. Emergency systems sparked behind the Vex commander, who stood rigid with fury. "Vex cruiser, this is Captain Chen of the UES Defiant. Your vessel is disabled and poses no further threat to this colony. Surrender your command and prepare for boarding." Krex's alien features contorted in what humans would recognize as pure hatred. "Humans, you think this victory means anything? The Concordat will never allow such weapons to exist. We would rather die than surrender to primitives." Woe. The Vex commander stopped mid-sentence, his multiple eyes focusing on something off-screen. He barked orders in his native language, too quick for the translator to catch. "Sir," Lieutenant Okafor called out urgently, energy spike detected within the Vex cruiser. "They're overloading their primary reactor." Chen's eyes widened. Evasive maneuvers. Maximum distance, now. The 5 retrofitted warships assembled in Earth's L2 Lagrange point, hidden from direct observation by the moon's shadow. Admiral Rice walked along the command deck of the Indomitable, inspecting final preparations as crew members worked with focused intensity. "All ships report ready status." "Admiral," Commander Takeda announced, handing her a data tablet with the fleet's readiness metrics. "The quantum cascade emitter is installed and calibrated as per Dr. Kapoor's specifications." Rice studied the numbers carefully. 5 ships against 30. By conventional measures, a suicide mission. But conventional measures no longer applied. "And our intelligence on the Concordat fleet positioning?" she asked. "Confirmed, ma'am. They're assembling their correction force at Alpha Centauri, as predicted. 27 vessels currently in position with 3 more expected within 12 hours. A holographic display in the center of the bridge showed the Concordat fleet arrangement. The aliens had positioned their vessels in a classic pincer formation, clearly intending to approach Earth from multiple vectors. "They're preparing for resistance," Rise observed, "but still fundamentally underestimating our capabilities." Dr. Kapoor joined them at the display, his normally calm demeanor showing signs of strain. The bags under his eyes testified to sleepless nights spent perfecting the quantum cascade technology. "Admiral, I must emphasize that the cascade emitter remains experimental," he cautioned. "We've run every simulation possible, but without field testing." The Defiant's encounter with the Vex cruiser provided all the field testing I need, Rise replied confidently. "Captain Chen's report confirmed your quantum phase technology performs exactly as theorized." "The phase cannons are precision instruments," Kapoor explained, gesturing to the larger emitter housing visible through the viewports. "The cascade emitter operates on the same principles, but at a much broader scale. It's like comparing a scalpel to a tidal wave." Commander Takeda cleared her throat. "Translation for non-physicists, Doctor. If it works," Kapoor said gravely, "it will simultaneously disrupt the quantum state of power systems across multiple vessels. If it doesn't work, or if the calibration is off by even a fraction of a percent, it could create a runaway quantum event that would destroy us instead." Rise finished for him. "I understand the risks, Doctor. We all do." The bridge fell silent as the implications settled over them. Humanity's future, balanced on the edge of theoretical physics, turned into desperate weaponry. A communications officer spoke up. "Admiral, we're receiving an encrypted transmission from Earth Command. President Kamara requests your presence for final authorization." Reyes nodded. "Put her through to my ready room." In the privacy of her quarters, Rise activated the quantum encrypted terminal. President Kamara's face appeared, the weight of responsibility evident in her expression. "Admiral, the Security Council has reviewed Operation Thunderclap. The vote was unanimous." "Understood, Madam President. We're prepared to execute on your command." Kamara leaned forward. "Elena, I need to ask you once more. Is there truly no diplomatic solution?" "The Concordat has made its position clear," Rise replied. "They view our technology as a threat to their dominance and will accept nothing less than our complete technological submission. If we yield, humanity becomes a client species, our development controlled and limited for generations." The President nodded slowly. "Very well. You have full authorization to proceed with Operation Thunderclap." Her expression softened slightly. "Bring our people home, Admiral." "Count on it, Madam President." As the connection terminated, Reyes returned to the bridge. Her crew watched expectantly as she took her command position. "Communications, transmit to all vessels. Operation Thunderclap is a go. Jump coordinates locked for Alpha Centauri. We depart in 30 minutes. Throughout the small fleet, crews made final preparations for humanity's most daring gambit. Not a war of conquest, but a desperate bid for recognition and respect among the stars. The shockwave of disabled Concordat vessels, drifting powerlessly through space, created a moment of perfect stillness. On the Indomitable's bridge, Admiral Rise watched the tactical display with carefully controlled emotion as 13 enemy warships floated dead in space, their running lights flickering weakly on emergency power. Cascade effect confirmed across all targeted vessels, Lieutenant Commander Tanaka reported, his voice betraying his own astonishment at the weapon's effectiveness. Power systems in quantum lockdown. Their weapons, propulsion, and primary systems are completely offline. Dr. Kapoor studied the sensor readings with scientific fascination. Remarkable. The field propagated exactly as the models predicted. The quantum entanglement effect carried through their shield harmonics just as we hypothesized. Reyes turned to her communications officer. Status of the Defiant and Dauntless. Both report successful intercept of the remaining Concordat vessels. Admiral. Quantum phase cannons disabled their engines and communications arrays with minimal collateral damage. No casualties reported on either side. The bridge crew exchanged looks of restrained triumph. Humanity's gamble had paid off beyond their most optimistic projections. 5 ships had neutralized a fleet of 15 without a single life lost. Life support status on the disabled vessels? Rise asked. Stable, Admiral. The cascade emitter affected only their primary power systems as designed. Life support and environmental controls remain operational on backup power. Rise nodded with satisfaction. This had never been about destruction, but demonstration. Prepare rescue shuttles with technical assistance teams. I want them deployed to the disabled vessels immediately. Commander Takeda raised an eyebrow. Admiral, we're sending help to the fleet that came to subjugate us. We are, Rise confirmed firmly. This is what separates us from them, Commander. They came to conquer. We came to be recognized. She gestured to the view screen showing the drifting alien ships. Besides, nothing demonstrates true power more effectively than mercy. As the bridge crew carried out her orders, Rise moved to the communication station. Open a channel to all Concordat vessels, emergency frequencies. Transmit in all known Concordat languages. The communications officer nodded. Channel open, Admiral. Rise straightened her uniform and faced the camera. This is Admiral Alina Rise of the United Earth Space Command vessel Indomitable. Your ships have been disabled, but not destroyed. Your crews are unharmed. We are dispatching technical teams to assist with life support stabilization and essential systems. She paused, letting the message translate across the various alien communication systems. The technology you just witnessed represents only a fraction of humanity's capabilities. We could have chosen destruction, but that is not our way. Earth does not seek dominance or conquest, only recognition as equals among the stars. On the view screens around her, Reyes could see the first human shuttles approaching the disabled Concordat vessels, carrying technical teams and medical personnel. We are transmitting coordinates for neutral space where diplomatic representatives can meet to establish new terms for human-Concordat relations. I suggest you consider carefully what you've witnessed today before deciding whether to continue hostilities or pursue peaceful coexistence. As she finished speaking, reports began flowing in from the rescue teams boarding the alien vessels. The married captain of one cruiser had actually wept upon seeing humans arrive with medical supplies rather than boarding parties. A Vex commander had surrendered his ceremonial blade in a gesture of warrior respect. Most telling was the report from a smaller vessel belonging to the Nithral, one of the Concordat's newer members, where the crew had actually welcomed the humans with something resembling relief. Admiral, Commander Takeda said quietly, I believe we've made our point. Reyes nodded, watching the rescue operations unfold across the battlefield that never quite became a massacre. Now we see if they're wise enough to understand it. After Dr. Kapoor's presentation concluded, the grand negotiation chamber erupted in overlapping alien languages as delegates processed the revelations about their own technological stagnation. Security personnel from various species moved closer to their representatives, tension rippling through the room. Admiral Reyes stepped forward, raising a hand for silence. We didn't bring you here to shame or embarrass the Concordat, she stated firmly. Understanding our different paths helps us build a better future together. High Chancellor Zorax's bioluminescent patterns pulsed with agitation. You claim your weapons come from desperation, yet chose not to build your most devastating designs. This contradicts your narrative of survival necessity. Dr. Kapoor smiled gently. That's precisely the point, Chancellor. Necessity drove innovation, but wisdom guided implementation. Having the capacity for destruction and choosing restraint. That's the true mark of advancement. The Merid Ambassador, Tylexin, floated forward, her tentacles arranged in what humans had learned was a posture of academic interest. Our historical records indicate technological sharing began 3 centuries ago to prevent destructive competition between our species. Yet you suggest this sharing became limiting. Not intentionally, perhaps, Kapoor replied diplomatically. Shared technology created standardization, which brought stability. But standardization can become stagnation without continuous challenge. In the observation gallery, representatives from the younger Concordat species whispered animatedly. The Nithral ambassador, her aquatic translator bubbling softly, approached Admiral Reyes during a brief recess. "My species joined the Concordat 50 years ago," she said, water flowing around her streamlined form. "We surrendered certain research directions as disruptive technologies under Concordat guidance." Her large eyes blinked expressively. Were we surrendering our potential? Reyes chose her words carefully, aware of the diplomatic implications. "Every species must follow its own evolutionary path, Ambassador. Perhaps it's time for the Concordat to reconsider which technologies it deems disruptive and which are simply different." As delegates returned to their positions, Sixtel, the Merid commander whose fleet had been so effortlessly neutralized, moved unexpectedly to the central podium. His tentacles were arranged in the formal pattern of official testimony. "I witnessed the human demonstration at Alpha Centauri," he announced, his translator conveying his precise, academic tone. "I must confirm their account is accurate. They could have destroyed us without difficulty. Instead, they sent medical personnel to our vessels before we had even surrendered." His eye stalks swiveled to survey the chamber. "In 700 years as a fleet commander, I have never witnessed such behavior from a victorious force." The Vex general chittered angrily. "They humiliated our warriors. Better to have destroyed us honorably. Better to be alive and humble than dead and proud," countered a young Vex scientist, her exoskeleton bearing the marks of a progressive faction. "Our pride has blinded us. While we perfected our existing technologies, we stopped exploring new paradigms entirely." As debate intensified, Dr. Kapoor quietly accessed his data tablet, reviewing information the Concordat delegates didn't yet know. Earth's scientists had already identified solutions to several critical problems facing Concordat species, including the genetic degradation threatening the Vex within 3 generations. Technology the Concordat had deemed disruptive might be their salvation. Admiral Reyes observed the fracturing consensus among the formerly unified Concordat with careful neutrality. The revelation of humanity's technological leap was reshaping galactic politics before her eyes, not through force, but through demonstration and truth. "This was never about winning a war," she murmured to Kapoor. "It was about changing the conversation." "The most powerful technology," he replied with a smile, "is always an idea." Captain Chen stood on the observation deck of the Curiosity Unbound, watching as the massive joint expedition vessel prepared for its maiden voyage. The ship represented something unprecedented in galactic history, a true collaboration between species that had, only months ago, been on the brink of war. "Admiring your new command?" Dr. Kapoor asked, joining him at the viewport. Chen smiled. "Not my command. Our command." He gestured to the ship's manifest displayed on a nearby screen, showing crew members from 12 different species. "I'm just one of 3 captains. The Nithral and Vex co-captains would be offended if I claimed sole authority." "A shared command structure," Kapoor mused. 6 months ago, the Concordat would have deemed that chaotically inefficient. 6 months ago, we were preparing for interstellar conflict, Chen replied. Now we're preparing for interstellar discovery. Below them in the docking bay, technical teams from multiple species worked side by side, finalizing preparations for the expedition. A young Vex engineer guided a human technician through the calibration of a sensor array that combined both species' technology. Nearby, a Merid scientist floated in gentle conversation with a Nithral researcher, tentacles and water gestures creating a unique communication ballet. The Technological Ethics Council guidelines are being implemented across all 22 member worlds, Kapoor noted, scrolling through updates on his tablet. The Vex especially have embraced the principles with surprising enthusiasm. Not so surprising, Chen countered. Once they understood that our genetic therapies could save their species from degradation, they became our strongest advocates. Nothing motivates cooperation like survival. A notification chimed softly, drawing their attention to the main view screen. Admiral Rice appeared, her formal diplomatic attire indicating she was broadcasting from the Cooperative Assembly. Captain Chen, Dr. Kapoor, the final ratification vote has concluded, she announced, her expression one of controlled satisfaction. The Charter of Technological Cooperation has been unanimously approved. The Interstellar Cooperative is now officially established. Chen and Kapoor exchanged glances of quiet triumph. The Charter guaranteed each species the right to technological self-determination, while establishing ethical guidelines and sharing requirements that would prevent the stagnation that had plagued the Concordat. The Curiosity Unbound is cleared for departure, Rice continued. Your mission to explore the anomaly at the galactic rim has been upgraded to priority status. All member species are eager to discover what lies beyond our current understanding. As the transmission ended, Chen turned to Kapoor. You're sure you want to come along? Earth could use your genius for reconstruction efforts. The scientist's eyes twinkled. And missed the first true multi-species scientific expedition in galactic history. Not a chance. Besides, my students are more than capable of continuing our work at home. A soft chime indicated it was time to join the other captains on the bridge for departure. As they walked through the corridors of the massive vessel, crew members of various species nodded in respect. Not because humans had proven themselves the dominant force, but because they had proven themselves worthy partners. You know what still amazes me? Chen said as they approached the bridge. None of this would have happened if the Concordat hadn't underestimated us. If they had approached Earth as potential equals from the beginning. History is shaped by such ironies, Kapoor replied. They expected conquest and received cooperation. They feared our warships and found partners instead. He smiled philosophically. Perhaps the greatest weapon humans possessed wasn't our technology, but our capacity to imagine a different kind of victory. As they stepped onto the bridge, the stars beckoned through the viewport, not as territory to be claimed, but as mysteries to be explored together.